campaign, all I do is as soon as I get off the phone, I push another button to send them another campaign. And this is another card. It just says, great ideas don't always change the world, but they usually change lives. And then I've got a message up here to them, and it's, remember this, 3 bullet points. It's the same 3 bullet points that you said that you could do at the meeting when you first met them. The same bullet points, all right? And it's the same bullet points you're going to use later. So you have to know what those 3 bullet points are that you can help people with. 3 bullet points, make it as condensed as possible. I actually have too much information on this page, and in this thing here you want to use at least a 14-point font, which this is too small. I'm going to condense that down a little bit. It's too small, okay? Now on the first card that you send, do not put your web page in there. Do not put anything other than there in your name and your contact information. On this card, put your web page in there if you want, okay? And I always like to have something on both sides of the cards. And I like to, on these cards, I like to have something here, or I put something over there, so I don't leave one side of the card empty. All right. Now, so what happens is I have this intentionally set to go out 3 days after I push the button, and then I know that they're going to get another 2 or 3 days. Why is it? Why don't I have them sent this immediately? Why I'm not sending? Why do I want them not to get that the next 2 days or the next day? Anybody?
It's a little fresher, pushed out a little bit from that conversation.
Okay. Remember, we always want to approach from a position of strength. If I look too eager, in other words, and I know that and in no hurry here. So in other words, if he gets that thing too tomorrow, he's saying, "Boy, that guy's right on top of me." You know what I mean? And some people might say, "Well, he respects you because you're punctual." But no, you want him to get that card or her to get that card.
Because 4 or 5. In his court to call.
That's right. Left it in his court to call him, to call me. Absolutely. It's real important. All right, now, so they get that card 5, 6, 7 days, and they've forgotten about you almost, right? Now all of a sudden they get this card and they say, "Well, you know what? That's a pretty neat card." But they're not still totally impressed by it. But I mean, if they thought, this guy follows up, now they're starting to take it a little bit more serious. All right, now, 7 days, 7 days after they get this card, they get another card, and maybe I can find it here, maybe not. This card here. Now in my business, and I'm selling a follow-up service, right? It says never forget a birthday again. In your business, it would be whatever is appropriate for your business. And here I have a longer message. Because now here I want to start painting this picture, this image of what I could do for them. I started out with the 3 bullet points, but now I want them to start transforming those 3 bullet points into what the effect of that would be to them. You follow me? And I don't do a real good job here. Those kind of areas I need help in, so if anybody wants to help me with that. But, you just want to, you get my point there, all right, and about your business. And again, I've got a quote over here that's kind of appropriate. Like too often we underestimate the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have had the potential to turn a life around. So if we're sending them a card, what are we doing? We're reaching out and touching somebody, aren't we? So that corresponds to my business. So you would want to pick a quote that corresponds to your business. So now, 10 days after they get this card, then they get the last card, which is my favorite card. Now remember, I'm selling a follow-up service, so my card is picked for my business. Again, you would pick the card for your business, and I'd help you with that. Sales statistics: 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. 25% of salespeople make a second contact and stop. 12% of salespeople only make 3 contacts and stop. Only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts. And the follow-up to that is 2% of sales are made on the first contact, 3% of sales are made on the second contact, 5% of sales are made on the third contact, 10% are made in the fourth contact, and 80% of all sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. And I know what everybody's thinking already. I'm better than that. And you know what? Many of you are. But if you are actually honest about your follow-up note keeping, you'll be amazed at how much different your closing ratios are early, than what you really think they are.
And that card is contact number 6, counting.
And this
phone
card
call.
is contact number 6. That's exactly right. Okay? But here's what's even more important. So I've picked something pertinent to what I'm selling, and then it opens up and it says, Melanie. This is just in case you have forgotten or have no idea who's been sending you all these crazy cards. Now, is there a reason for that verbiage? Probably wasn't dressed like this when I met you. You send out cards to help build your business, and then it's got a picture of me here in my straw hat in Cancun. So you think there's a reason for all that? Absolutely, there's a reason. Because here, I was kind of a little bit goofy up here. No idea who's been sending you all these crazy cards. I'm making light of it, all right? Probably wasn't dressed like this when I met you, so I'm saying I don't normally dress like this when I'm in business. I started out personal card, right? I went to business card, went to another business card, now I'm back personal again. Now here's what happens. They get this card, and how many days has it been since we talked on the telephone now?
20.
20 days. Now, my reminder is for 10 days after I send this card because I want them to have this card for at least 7 days. And that's important. At least 7 days. Now, Don, I'll call you back because I will actually get calls off of this. So in other words, if I went to one meeting a week and got 30 cards, I can tell you that I would get an average of almost 3 calls a week if I kept that system going. But you can't process that many leads, I can tell you. In other words, this system will generate you more prospects than you can work if if you go to one meeting a week or 2 meetings a week. All right? Assuming there's new people there. I mean, because if you go to BNI or somewhere, you're talking to the same people every day. Obviously, it's not going to work that way, okay? Even though it does work for those people. It doesn't work that way. So, what's important here, though, is that when I call you back now, Don, remember we only met 10 minutes at a meeting. We've talked on the phone once, and once you kind of brushed me off and told me to call you back next week, and then you agreed to call me back, and this is important. You said you were going to call me back, right? Have you called me back yet? It's been 20 days. When do you plan on calling me back? You may or may not ever call me back. Probably will never call me back. But here's what happens. And this is so neat. Here's what happens. How much time we got?
A couple minutes.
Okay. This is so neat. And folks have done this many, many, many times. So I know. I'm telling you. I'm not telling you something here that I haven't done. Over and over and over. 80% of the time, here's what will happen. I'll call you up, Don, and I'll say, hey, Don, this is George Sims with Send Out Cards. How you doing? And you'll say, George, boy, I'm glad you called me. I've been planning on calling you. As a matter of fact, I've got you on the scheduled call. I know I said I'd call you. In other words, because I sent you this card, you read that card, okay, and you're guilty. And the fact that you didn't call me back even proves to me that you're not guilty. So when I call you, it just reminded you that you're guilty of not following up. But I'm a nice guy because I sent you all these cards and I'm look halfway decent, like somebody, that's not a real stuffed shirt or whatever. Now this is back to personal. And you're calling me by the first name and it's like we're old buddies and you're talking to me like an old buddy. The first time you talked to me like somebody that I met 10 minutes at a networking meeting. The second time you're talking to me like you knew me forever. And folks, it happens over and over and over and over again. Not with everybody, but again, who do we worry about? Do we worry about everybody or do we worry about 80%? We worry about only 80%, right? In other words, if we get 80% of them right, that's all we worry about. We can't worry about the other ones, all right? So that's why I'm telling you this system, this strategy is so powerful, especially for network marketers and other marketers that can put their information and use the same psychology that I've used in here, and I can help you do that because, I spent 20 years, training salespeople. I think I can convert a little sales psychology to yours if you don't already know how to do that. Most of you already do because, most of you are already in sales.